Okay, this video is going to be about the second house. And we know the second house rules earned income, but I want to, in this video, talk about another meaning, and that is it represents one's value sense. So, this is what we're talking about here, the second. So the first is the self, and the second is one's values. Now, I know that a lot of modern people talk about the second as self-esteem. And the only thing is, for me, I don't understand, I don't know what that means. Self-esteem is sort of like feeling good about yourself, or how you feel about yourself. But the thing is, I don't know how it can be measured in the same way that you can measure income, and in the same way that you can measure values. So I'm not thinking of the second as self-esteem. And I think I mentioned elsewhere that I prefer the older meanings of houses. I think there's less chance for confusion with them. So that, for instance, the seventh house over here, the seventh shows the other people in our lives as well as open enemies. But that doesn't mean that the seventh house represents one's relationships. Partners, yes. Enemies, yes. They're clear. But relationships somehow is too vague. And so I think it's a good idea to think of this, to not think of the seventh as relationships. Because you can have relationships with anybody. Okay? Now, let's say, looking at the second house, let's say that the president wants you to accept his economic package. So you may believe in individual effort, and so you want to see individual effort rewarded somehow via the economic package. However, your neighbour may prefer government control and more direct government control, so he would like to see that encouraged. So it's unlikely that the same presidential message will convince you with your values and your neighbour with his or her values. And the difference between you both is the value sense. And it shows astrologically in the second house cusp, the sign, and the decade. So, I was told this years ago when I first began, and I heard the words and immediately ignored it. And I've come back to it over the years, and the more I work with it, the more important and the more truthful and truth revealing it becomes. So even if you're not convinced of the value of the value sense at the moment, work with it for a bit and see what you get. So I have Taurus, maybe a new page. I have Taurus in the second house cusp. Okay? And Taurus we know is an earth sign, and the key word, or one key word, the one I was taught, is practicality. Okay, so if you've watched earlier videos, you know that I'm all for practicality when it comes to astrological analysis. If you've spoken to me or heard me speak, then you know that I don't really have time for fancy phrases that may sound good, but they don't really mean much. At least they don't mean much as I see it. So self-esteem, forget about it, because I don't know what it means. So when people talk about Pluto representing the soul, so it's like my eyes glaze over, because it's all, I don't know quite what it is, but where did they come up with ideas that Pluto represents the soul? And also, how can you verify it? So it's more than just a belief. You may be happy with the idea, which is fair enough, because we're different people, but I prefer some kind of confirmation. So, practicality, Taurus on the second house cusp. You know something about what I care about. You know something about my values. Also, we know that Taurus is a fixed sign. And with this in mind, we can say my values don't change. Fixed sign, fixed values. When they're there, they're there. And so I started rolling my eyes at astrology conferences 27 years ago, when I used to attend them and listen to what some of the speakers were saying. And I still am the same, and I still can't understand how people in the audience can be satisfied with so little. So, what else do we know about Taurus? Taurus is the farmer. They get up early, they get to work, and they keep going all day long. And so do I. Or that's the kind of thing I care about. That's what I value. I always liked being awake before everybody else and having done a couple of hours work while other people were still asleep. And once in the 1970s, I had a job in Cambridge in England delivering mail. And it was an early start. I had to get to the sorting office by 5 o'clock in the morning. So I had to get up at 4, and it was a long walk. But I used to be finished by 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I really enjoyed it because I had the rest of the day and most of the afternoon to myself instead of just the evening. So I thought about it then. I really did seriously enjoy that, although this is before I had any kind of astrological knowledge or I had looked at astrology. So, someone I know, she has Sagittarius rising and Capricorn in the second. Okay? Sagittarius here and Capricorn, VS, very serious, Capricorn in the second. So, Capricorn is the social climber, and that's what I was taught. And you may not agree with Capricorn as a social climber, but think about it for a bit. So, I like statements in a chart. I like statements of fact from a chart that you can prove or disprove. And so if you have the ruler of the 1st and the 10th, let's say we've got this, Sagittarius rising, Jupiter in the 10th, then that would mean that this is a person who comes before the public. The ruler of the 1st and the 10th. So if you can find somebody or show me somebody who has the ruler of the 1st and the 10th, but who has stayed home their entire life and been happy to be at home, then that's going to make me stop and wonder about the ruler of the 1st and the 10th. So it's actually going to make me look at the rest of the chart to understand why this person has not emerged from the home, for instance. Because I kind of like the quote from Dr. Davison in his lectures on medical astrology, because he said something along the lines that if he found something odd or something that disproved what he already knew, he didn't throw out all that he knew and dismiss astrology, but instead he added that fact to his knowledge and he tried to figure out how this was possible or what made it come about. So this person, Capricorn in the second, and it's a social climber. And so this woman, if you're a big shot, if you're somebody prominent or wealthy, let's say, or somebody who is admired and respected by society, you can do no wrong in this woman's eyes. You know, because it doesn't matter what you do or what you're like, she will defer to this respected individual in order to get ahead. So Capricorn on the second. Capricorn, I mentioned before about making use of what we already know. And we know that Capricorn is an earth sign too, same as Taurus, but Capricorn is cardinal. And so the practicality that Capricorn shows is going to take a different form from that of the practicality that Taurus exhibits. Because one's cardinal, Capricorn's cardinal, Taurus is fixed. And again, Virgo, the other earth sign, is mutable. And so we can usefully think about the difference in practicality between the cardinal, fixed and mutable versions. And so if at this point you get if we were in a room right now and we were speaking and you had something to tell me in the light of what I've just said, why don't you tell me? Because if you have observations or ideas and that you would want to share with me and with other people, you can agree or disagree with what I'm saying in these videos. It doesn't matter. Let me know. Send me an email or phone or something, because I think it would be useful to have input from other people and some kind of discussion, so that if I give an example here and you know somebody who fits the picture, let me know. If you know somebody who doesn't fit the picture, let me know as well.